Everyone has a story to tell. It's my mission to tell it. Unscripted, unedited, we are on the record.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarina Fazan and welcome to On the Record, and I'm welcoming back our favorite sports guy, JP Peterson.
I can't believe you had me back.
Oh my gosh,
this
are you
awesome.
kidding me? Okay,
yeah.
High five, dude.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Okay,
I'm not normally asked back after my, I'm kidding.
Really? No, that's not true. I have to say, so before you went to the Super Bowl, we talked about it, and you were on the show, and of course I said, you have to come back. I'm putting it on the record. I want you back. I got so many messages.
Really?
Yes, about you and saying like that we were, compatible.
That's great.
Is that awesome?
Yes, that's fantastic. Yes.
Well, I love sports, and I really appreciate you being here to talk about it.
Well, it was an interesting time at the Super Bowl.
So tell us about it, JP.
Well, I've done a lot of these. I've done a lot of radio rows. I don't know, maybe 10, 12 over the years. And they've morphed into something different, obviously, because of COVID. I mean, last year when it was in Tampa, they had this huge convention center, ready for 250 stations, and there were 6 stations.
I know,
I was one of them.
It was a ghost town.
It was a ghost town.
We're showing some video and pictures you took of Radio Row. For people who may not know exactly what Radio Row is, could you explain it?
So Radio Row, it's in the Los Angeles Convention Center this year. It's a huge room, and whether it's Dallas, Miami, whatever, they put you in this huge convention center, and all the stations from around the nation come in, and they set up there, and they do their shows all week long. Like we were there from Tuesday to Friday. And it's really kind of a who's who of celebrities that they usually bring through, and actors, and so they'll just come through and they'll pitch something. Like they'll be pitching a heart monitor or a water or something like that. And they'll walk up and they'll drop the page, the one sheet right in front of you. And hopefully you recognize who the person is, the player, the celebrity, whatever. And it'll be on your sheet there. And just like you, one person after another, you just bring them in, they put the headset on, and you just start talking about stuff. So it's like a clearinghouse for all types of commerce and different things. Actors coming in to pitch their movies. Like I had Hugh Jackman and Sugar Ray Leonard sit down with me one time. John Legend and Chrissy Teigen sat down with me one time. David Spade, Chris Rock sat down with me one time. I mean, these big stars coming through.
It is so much fun. I mean, it really is so much fun because you never know who's going to walk up to you.
Right. It's cool. So this year, LA, you're thinking, wow, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be stars galore just coming through. And you're just, really get into the vibe of all these great shows that they're filming out here. Nobody.
You're kidding.
Nobody. Nobody.
You're kidding. Wow.
No, in fact, I did an event. I told you I was doing an event with Snoop Dogg, right?
Right.
So we went out in, it was the Wounded Warriors football team.
Which is such a
so inspiring. I'll go into that more in a minute.
Great organization.
And Kurt Warner is there, and a bunch of big Hall of Famers are there. Football players, the NFL Network was there. All the local stations were there, and it was for Snoop's Special Stars, which is his. He has a youth football league there that he runs. But the Special Stars are the autistic kids, Down syndrome kids, and they have their own football team. So they played, and it was awesome, so inspiring. And these kids are just, they were playing. Kurt Warner handing it off to these kids, and it's just throwing them passes, and it's so wonderful what they did.
And we're both parents, so to see, gosh, that love you have, right? Oh my gosh,
it was so wonderful, and Snoop does a great job with it. But the scuttlebutt was what we heard was NBC, because of course Snoop was doing the halftime. He was starring in the halftime. They put a kibosh on him going out in public.
You're kidding.
Because they were afraid that he would get COVID or test positive and couldn't do the show.
And you know what's really interesting?
Which makes sense.
Yes.
But a lot of us were waiting to see Snoop and everything. I totally understand why he couldn't be there, but it was a little bit of a letdown. I was looking forward to doing stuff with the DOGG.
Well, oh my gosh! When you were on the show before you went.
Doing your show was great.
Thank you. Thanks,
Snoop.
JP. Well, you were so excited about it before you left. So you're kidding.
Yeah.
So I do understand. You know what was interesting, though, speaking of that I thought this was fascinating, that this Super Bowl, in fact, had more viewers, 10% more viewers than in years and years and years. Yeah,
it's been trending down recently, but I think, there's been a lot of politics involved. I think a lot of people left the NFL, but I think the NFL's kind of, pushed that to the way a little bit. Some people might disagree with that, trying to keep it real here, though. So I think I think that's helped out, and it's been a great season. The playoffs have been just amazing, and there were so many great storylines in here. The Rams, obviously playing at home, and Matthew Stafford coming in, and so many stars on that Rams team, Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, and they all play like stars, and Cooper Kupp. And then the great story of Joe Burrow, who we talked about last week. Would he be able to, to lift these, what is basically a pretty mediocre Bengals team to a Super Bowl on his back, and he almost did it.
Oh
they had to lead late. So that was a great game. But I just, I thought the game in some ways was just a weird game. It just had a weird vibe to it, and the whole week out there was just weird.
Well,
it was. I mean, you expect. I saw Anthony Anderson from Blackish, one of my favorite shows, by the way. Freaking love that show. I saw him, and I didn't get him on my show, but he was kind of walking around. That's the only real big star that came into Radio Row.
And
very disappointing.
What about the mask thing, too? I mean,
weird.
Can we talk about the mask thing?
So we were supposed to, in California, it's an indoor mask mandate.
Right, it's very, very strict right now.
Strict.
Like the kids are still wearing masks. And
in school, they had a heat advisory last week in schools out at LA because it was warm for them. Not like us in Florida here, but it was warm for them. And the kids still had to wear their masks on the playground. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Outside, right? Come on. And they never enforced the mask mandate inside. Like all throughout, walking by cops the whole week, and the cops, a lot of them had their mask down. And then at the Super Bowl, there was no mandate. They weren't enforcing it. They just weren't, which for me is great because we all have our opinion on it. But
right. I mean,
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But they didn't enforce it, which is kind of. It's kind of weird.
Right.
There's a lot of, and there's, LA, I used to love LA, but I'm just keeping it real. It's what I've always done on my show.
And that's what I appreciate because this show too is unedited, unscripted. We share our opinions. LA is a homeless tent city, and I have a lot of compassion for the homeless. I really do. I understand it. But it's just, you go there and it's everywhere. It's omnipresent, and it smells bad. It looks bad. I won't get graphic. But it's even in the places around the convention center, they tried to clean it up. It's bad. It's really, really bad. And I feel sorry for the people who have to live in that and those conditions. But it's just, I've been to a lot of Super Bowls, and it was the worst. You're kidding.
It was the worst. And then, so no real stars on Radio Row. Okay. The setup was And then LA Live, which is right across from the convention center, we called it LA Dead. Because literally after every Radio Row, on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you go out to wherever area you're in. It's always lively. There's fans everywhere. There were no fans. There were no Bengals fans because the tickets were $6,000, $7,000 for the cheapest ticket.
Which is crazy.
It's
You're
crazy.
talking about.
I mean, these Cincinnati fans have waited all their life to get to the Super Bowl. 33 years, I think it's been since they've been in the Super Bowl. And you want to take your son or your Cincinnati Bengals. It was just 20 grand all in.
That's nuts.
It's nuts. It's nuts. So it was a Super Bowl for the elites of LA to come on out. There wasn't even very much cheering for the game because there was a bunch of disinterested people that just wanted to see and be seen at the Super Bowl.
Because they were there for the game.
Yeah, they weren't. Yeah, they weren't there to root for their team.
Wow.
But and so we saw very few fans around. The Rams had a pep rally on the Monday. Nobody showed up.
You're kidding.
I swear to God. Because LA Rams, they don't really have a huge fan base because they've been in and out of LA for so many years. So it's just it was weird. The whole thing was weird.
I mean, and for you to say of all the Super Bowls that you've gone to, that it was the worst, that's significant.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, last year was COVID, and we only had supposedly 25,000 fans in the stadium in Tampa.
But how much fun was it?
But it was way more. There was way more atmosphere. The fans were out. The people were out. I mean, there was so much activity last year. You saw fans from, obviously, Bucs team fans, but you saw a ton of Chiefs fans. They were everywhere. They came to Tampa anyway, even if they weren't going to the game. But
you didn't see that in LA.
There were no fans, none.
So, like what we talked about prior, before you going out, that so much of the Super Bowls we're talking about now, the parties.
Yes, yeah.
The celebrity around it.
Yes.
So were there any even fun parties that you went to?
Well, I got to go to one really good party in West Hollywood at the Academy, and Lil Jon was the
We're showing
DJ.
some video right now.
Oh my, it's so funny. Like, you know, it probably won't show the audio or listen to the audio because there was a lot of MFs coming out. He's very, you know, he's very graphic in his language. But man, he had the place hype. It was hype. It was crazy. And he's playing great music, a lot of old school stuff, and the people were loving it. Everybody was dressed to the nines. I mean, the ladies were dressed to the nines, or I mean, just like that's all they were wearing was a nine. I mean, it was like it was L.A.
Yeah.
It was L.A. and there were a few stars in there, like young actors were coming in. There was a lot of paparazzi, and there were a lot of football stars there. T.O. was there, and Eric Dickerson, and we were hanging out with them in the VIP, and Kurt Warner was there with his wife, and the Rams cheerleaders were there. There's a lot of football VIPs there, so that was fun.
So that, would you say that was the highlight of your trip?
That was the highlight for me. Yeah, that party was fantastic. It was really, really cool. We had a fantastic time there, and we had some friends that invited us. And the Wounded Warriors, B.J. Ganem, who is kind of the head of Sierra Delta, that's the group that gets, what I talked to you about, that does the football game every year. They get service dogs for amputees, and they do a great job. So I was hanging out with a lot of those guys, and it's fun because, like Kurt Warner and all the football stars, Eric, there, so they know these guys because they play against them, and they treat those guys like the heroes that they are.
And deserve to be,
and deserve to be, and I love that about Kurt and Eric, these guys, T.O., and they were all so nice to them, and you know, it was just like one big happy family, and they're great guys. I mean, they're heroes, number one, but they're just salt of the earth guys. That was really the highlight for me, no doubt.
And it's nice to see, like, Kurt Warner is such a class act,
Oh
but it's
my
so
gosh.
nice to see that coming. It's so many kids, we idolize these players. So here's a great opportunity for them, you know, to treat people as they deserve, the heroes that they deserve. It's a great reflection, especially for the kids, and you know, and role models. So okay, but before we go to the break, I want to go back to LA and the Super Bowl itself there, because you know there was a lot of talk on whether or not LA would be able to host the Super Bowl in the first place because of the strict mask mandate, so on and so forth. Can you see, and if you want to talk about what the Super Bowl rotation is, so people understand it, because there's certain cities that seem to get the Super Bowl more often than not.
Well, if you get a new stadium, you build a new stadium, you get a Super Bowl. It happened in Minnesota. Doesn't matter even the climate anymore. If you build a new stadium, you get it.
So isn't it worth it to build a new stadium
Yeah,
to get the
it's a Super Bowl. I mean, you get the huge economic impact of the Super Bowl. I mean, and you know, certain people say it's a great impact. Some will say it's not. But I go to these things, and there's you know, you're bringing in 100,000 people, and it's not just the people that are going to the games. It's it's corporate people, it's handlers, it's PR people. They all have to stay in hotels and eat food, and it's a huge economic impact.
Absolutely.
And it puts your area on the map. Like when it was here in Tampa Bay, I mean, you celebrate that as a community. I think our community honestly did a much better job of it because it's so much more accessible than it is in LA with traffic and everything else. But it is a huge thing for the area that you're in these stadiums. Now it's like Tampa, I think, that was probably maybe the last one that Tampa hosts because it's not an indoor venue. They like the indoor venues, even though it was so hot in SoFi Stadium, because it was unseasonably warm in LA all this week, or up in the mid 80s. And $5 billion stadium, it's not air conditioned.
You're kidding?
No. It's
Get
not.
out.
The stadium, like the luxury boxes are, but some luxury boxes that are down by the field are not, by the way. And there were a lot of stars that were complaining about it's hot in here. Like my makeup is running. Oh my God, it's terrible.
Is that
And that was the guys.
Is that common not to have it air conditioned?
No, every dome is air conditioned.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, but they figure the LA weather, you don't need it. Well, their first Super Bowl, it was hot in there. It was really hot in there. So, that's bizarre. So I think, they built this $5 billion stadium. They're going to have the Super Bowl there probably every 4 or 5 years. They're going to Phoenix next year, Arizona. Dallas will always host because of that stadium there. New Orleans will be in the mix. Miami always. They've got a kind of a shade on their stadium now, a roof. And then Tampa's, kind of iffy.
But we were such stars for our last Super Bowl. We've got to get it back.
We always get rave reviews from the NFL from when the national championship game was here. That'll be coming back to Tampa Bay. Rave reviews because of the way everything is set up here. And it's very easy for the media to get around, and the venues are fantastic.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go to a break,
Okay.
and then we'll come right back, and we'll talk more about the Super Bowl and how you said it was.
We talk about the game a little bit.
Yeah, I'd love
It's
to
an
talk.
interesting game.
Yes, I'd
Yeah.
love to talk about the game, and I want to talk about Kelly Stafford too.
Yes.
She's
what a great
amazing.
Story. What a great story.
Yes. Okay, guys, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
I'm Sarina Fazan, a journalist, producer, and podcast host. With a background in television news, I know how much time and talent it takes to produce a broadcast quality production. But no more. Red House Streaming offers a simple, cost-effective method for capturing live action and streaming it in real time to YouTube, Facebook, or any other website. From single camera shoots or multi-camera productions, conventional or virtual sets, and from the state-of-the-art Red House Streaming Studios to remote locations, the professional crew at Red House Streaming, backed by the technology and reputation of CP Communications, allows you to produce more content at a lower cost and with little to no engineering required. That's why my podcast, On the Record with Sarina Fazan, is streamed live from the Red House Streaming Studios each week. Contact Red House Streaming today at 800-762-4254 or online at cpcoms.com to learn more. I'll see you in the studio.
At Precision, our mission is more than fixing broken garage doors
I think it looks great.
and selling new ones.
It looks amazing.
We aim to help those in need and to honor and lift up those who are making a difference
Thank you so much.
through our outreach program called Opening Doors in Our Community. People like Steve Chamberlain, who is fitting kids with prosthetic legs,
The people I've met, the families, we've changed so many lives.
or members of the military,
I'm the airman.
Oh boy, and I'm the Army.
like Frank Elliott.
We're teamwork, right?
Exactly, yeah.
That's why we're here for you today.
We appreciate
Help
that.
you out. We appreciate you.
And of course, the people on the front lines during COVID, like Jessica, an ER nurse. At Precision, we want to thank everyday heroes for all you do. It was an honor to help you, and together, we are opening doors in our community.
Hey guys, welcome back. We're talking about the
It's a
Super
little
Bowl.
warm in
And JP,
It's a little warm in here.
It is kind of hot in here, which is really actually very surprising to give you guys an inside scoop with television studios. Usually they're really cold,
Right.
because they have to keep the equipment cold. But I don't know why. It is. Maybe it's you, JP.
That's what it is.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what it is.
It's
That's what it is.
radiating
Radiating
the heat from LA.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so this is kind of surprising to you, though. JP has said that this is the worst Super Bowl he has covered.
Yeah, just the
because-
whole,
The whole feel.
the whole
Just-
feel. It was
just
just
everything
weird.
about it.
It was a weird deal.
But what about the game itself? What did you think of the game
Game was
itself?
weird, too.
You thought so? I mean, gosh, it was an exciting game.
It was.
though.
Well, the end of the game was exciting. Like, and I thought it was, but there was a point where there were 7 punts in a row. A lot of curious decisions by the coaches. In certain points of the game. We won't get into the minutia of it, but it was just you had 2 young coaches and one that had never been to Zach Taylor of the Bengals, who had never been there, who used to work under Sean McVay, who was the Rams head coach. So it was a very interesting coaching matchup in that way. And clearly, I think the mentor got the best of the pupil in that way. But both of them seemed to make some very curious calls. And then for the officiating was like they let them play all game long, and then they made a crucial call at the end that really allowed the Rams to win the game.
Right,
If they don't make that
absolutely,
call.
right.
Now, the Bengals had every opportunity. They got the ball back and could have won it. But I think in terms of the game, it's kind of fitting for LA. The Stars won the game. Like the Stars were out for the Rams. I mean, Cooper Kupp was the MVP, a couple of touchdowns, really was the main man on the last drive, made it happen. Matthew Stafford played well in the clutch, which he had 3 game-winning drives in the playoffs, which has never been done before. It hasn't been done since like 1966.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't
which
know
is
that.
clutch. I mean, he was clutch. He made some mistakes, but he was clutch. Aaron Donald, the best defensive player in the game, maybe the best player in the game, makes 2 plays at the end of the game, which, by the way, I predicted on Twitter, to win the game. I mean, so their stars were out, and they played great, and that was the difference in the game. And Cincinnati's roster just wasn't as good as the Rams, and that was the end of the game. But that was very dramatic, the way they came back in the last part of that and won the game, got the key call there. and they win the game. It'll be remembered for that, sure.
Yeah, and it was a fun game to watch, and I know what you're talking about, but at least it wasn't a blowout like last year with the Buccaneers and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
Of course, we were so happy.
We loved it, yeah, but
that the Buccaneers won, but
it's boring.
It's boring. I mean, it kept it really exciting. Speaking of stars, though. Let's talk about Kelly Stafford.
Wow.
I mean, she's amazing. Did you know that Matthew Stafford was born right here in Tampa, Florida?
I did know that, yes.
You did? Oh, you did?
Didn't live here long, but I did know that.
I was hoping to stump you for once, because he knows everything. Like, he is like, the super stats guy, and I'm the casual fan.
But you know about the wives and the girlfriends, and her story.
Her story is
amazing. I mean, the brain surgery, and I loved about Matthew Stafford is, first of all, he's a super humble guy, and he thanked the people of Detroit. I mean, he was there for 13 seasons, and he really and they were, it wasn't like they were mad that he left. It was almost like, good luck, son. Go get him.
Right.
And he gave so much credit to them and helping, the way he and them as a community surrounding him with love and support when she had her brain surgery and went through all that terrible stuff. And that was such a great feeling, and talking about that and seeing her, and healthy again, and it was a great moment.
Absolutely, and for those who may not know, so the two of them met at the University of Georgia, where she was a cheerleader, and they have 4 kids under the age of 5, all girls, adorable, but she was holding one of her daughters when she got dizzy, not thinking anything of it. My brother, I don't know if you know, is a neurosurgeon. Yeah, my brother is a neurosurgeon, and so she's thinking, it's vertigo.
Right.
I'm a mom, I have all these little kids. It's and then she goes, and can you imagine how scary that is? And
no.
Thank God the tumor was benign. But if you look at the scar on her, but it was
I've seen some of the hospital pictures. Oh.
But what a champion she is, I think, for women. And she also has a show where
she does.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Bigger than your show?
Wait. Did I really just?
You stumped me.
I did?
didn't know she had a show.
Yeah.
She has a show?
Yeah, she does.
Wow.
Right. Yes, it's called, what is it, like the morning something. So she does a show right after the games. So yes, we have to subscribe to that.
Absolutely.
I don't know, JP, if it's quite as big as mine.
But it's big.
Hey, but did you hear my huge news before we go back?
No.
That the Golden Diamond Source is sponsoring.
Yes.
My Love and Dating in America series.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the best in the business.
We love them, and they love you.
They're great folks. They've supported my show for a decade.
Okay.
Wonderful folks.
Since they've supported your show for decades, let's digress just a little bit. And since they are supporting my show, Love and Dating in America, I want to ask you on the record for you to come on Dating in America.
I will.
You will?
I would love to. Absolutely.
Oh my
I'd love to. I would love to.
Then we get some real inside scoop on JP.
Yeah. It would probably end my relationship, but for you, I'll do it.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, maybe we can have your
Let's keep the questions nice.
We can have your lovely other half on.
Well, she's up for it.
And she's actually here today, so which is very, very sweet.
This, by the way, Ashley, this is how we do it in TV. We actually announce it on TV.
Yes.
So you really can't even. You have to say yes. That's how we. I usually do it when they're on the air with me. Like when you come, what are they going to say? No.
Right.
Of course, they have to say yes, right?
They have to do it.
Of course, so.
They have to. That's why
you put it. It's a little trick of the trade.
That's why you put it on the record.
Right. So, last week when you said you're going to come back live on the show, of course I'm going to come back. I can't wait. Yeah.
How could I say no now?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, speaking of on the record, what did you think of the big halftime show?
I loved it. I'm an old school rap fan. I love. It was good to finally see Snoop, my would-be co-host, and he was there. I'm glad you made it, Snoop. But I loved it. There's all the songs we wanted to hear, and Dre was so good, and Eminem was great, and Mary J. Blige, and 50 Cent showed up.
Yeah, 50 Cent.
Inflation, he's now $5. It looked bigger. It was good. It was great. Kendrick Lamar. I thought it was fantastic. Now, I didn't think it was the greatest ever because I didn't have the wow factor of some of the other ones, because it was just about the music and the people. There wasn't a lot of fireworks and, a lot of crazy, a guy jumping off the top of the stadium or J-Lo and Shakira shaking it. I mean, those are spectacular, big kind of Vegas shows, and they were great and they were fantastic. And this was just kind of about the music and about, and it was about L.A. and those guys are from L.A. and with the whole West Coast. And I thought it was perfect. I think they did a great job. And it was, everybody, we were just, everybody's tapping their, you got into the music. It was great. It was exactly what you wanted. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
Well, which one has been your favorite one? Do you have a favorite halftime, or is it too hard? I mean, I know they're so good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Springsteen fan, and it was in Tampa, and I was there, and I was like, watched it, so I'm biased. That's a totally me thing, so that's a very personal me thing.
But that's hard to beat.
Yeah,
I
I mean he's an icon, you know.
Yeah, you're the boss.
Yeah, and he did a great job. I mean, U2, I thought he was so memorable. 2000, Brady's first Super Bowl win right after 9/11, where they scrolled the names, and their music is so powerful anyway. I thought that was fantastic.
That was a tearjerker, too.
Yeah, that
really
was one that Prince in the Rain, in the Purple Rain.
Yeah.
You remember that one? So many good ones. You know?
many good ones.
This one ranks up there, though. I'd say this definitely top 5.
Well,
definitely
you know,
top 5.
and you have put on the record how much you love Snoop Dogg.
I
so,
do.
You know.
I love that. And I thought it was so funny. He's like, ooh, Snoop Dogg smoked a joint before he went on. And there was actually a prop bet whether he was going to smoke one on the stage. And I was like, oh, I bet he will. I bet he will. It's legal there, right?
Yeah, why not? You know,
it was like, oh, Snoop smoked before he went on. Like, newsflash, Snoop smokes all the time. like he has a personal handler that travels with him that's what I'm told. That rolls, you know.
That rolls it for him. Oh my gosh.
It's constantly, there you go. I mean, yeah, so what? So what? Right? It's legal most places, right?
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, and I always feel like people just need to do what they want to do.
Be
like
responsible.
Be responsible. As long as you're not hurting anybody.
Don't hurt anybody.
Right, be responsible.
I mean, let's be honest. You know, I'd rather run into a guy that's high than a guy that's drunk.
You know.
Any day of the week. Any day of the week.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not going to hurt you. You can talk. You know, they might eat your cheeseburger, but they're not going to hurt you. Yeah, it's all good.
Okay, speaking of alcohol and speaking of all that stuff, so many people, I mean, Kansas City, for instance, gave, there was no school the day after Super Bowl.
Right.
So there have been studies. Yeah. I said Kansas City, guys. I'm so sorry because I'm always thinking Pat Mahomes.
They did that last year too.
Yeah.
So yes, they did it too.
So there's been surveys out there.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. I think it was like 1 in 10 Americans said that they would prefer having the day after Super Bowl off and would even work Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Right.
Do you think that's ever going to happen?
It should be a national holiday.
Where Monday is off?
Well, here's the other thing. Think about it now, and I think it's just because of the dates, but the Valentine's Day was right after the Super Bowl.
Right.
Yeah, which was why the Publix was so crowded on Monday. Everybody's buying flowers and candy and all that stuff. Are you kidding me? Of course I was too. But because Super Bowl, you were busy, right?
Yeah.
You were busy. So, yeah, it should be a national holiday. We have all these Monday holidays anyway. Absolutely. People have talked about moving Super Bowl to Saturday, which I think is also a great idea. But then the iconic Super Sunday doesn't really work. But it could be just Saturday. It would work better. But, yeah, why not? We need more days off.
Okay,
we need more days off.
You know what? We're wrapping up the show. Why don't you and I start a petition?
Yes.
There's petitions started in other states to try to get the Monday after Super Bowl off.
Right.
That'd be awesome.
President's Day, we'll call it. Why don't we just move President's Day to that? It's like some arbitrary day anyway.
Right. Why not?
Yeah, beautiful.
JP,
we fixed the world here.
Yeah, we do.
It's so easy.
You are beautiful. You're beautiful to talk
You're the
to.
Best.
Oh
You're
my
the
gosh.
best. Thank
No,
you, darling.
I just.
Anytime.
You're awesome.
We should do a show together.
You know what?
We should.
Yeah. What do you guys think
like
about
the
that?
lighter side of sports or something. It's a great idea.
What a great idea.
I'm brilliant.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, guys, stay tuned. You never know. There might be an announcement soon. With that, we both say stay safe and have fun.
By the Golden Diamonds. Talk about that one.
Bye, everybody.